It was a busy first weekend of spring training. Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Monday, February 24th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White, and it was a busy first weekend. So busy that Scott is receiving text messages at 12:30. Who would have thunk it? Injuries from our first weekend. Let's get the bad news out of the way, Scott. Wyatt Langford will be held out of baseball for 5 to 7 days after being diagnosed with a mild oblique strain. We learned about that on Friday. Jarren Duran was scratched Sunday due to calf soreness, not believed to be serious. Elliot Ramos is dealing with a slight oblique strain as well and is expected to be unavailable for about a week. Parker Meadows tweaked his triceps on a throw Saturday, though it is not viewed as a serious concern. And Rangers pitching prospect Alejandro Rosario needs elbow surgery, will miss the entire 2025 season. Really only affects people in dynasty leagues, but he was a fast rising prospect. So it is unfortunate. Scott, first weekend, we already got some injury news.
Yeah, I was excited about Alejandro Rosario, so that's disappointing. But more applicable to all the drafters out there, the Wyatt Langford one, I think, is especially concerning. Oblique strain, they say mild. They say they're just going to hold him out a week. But oblique injuries that seem mild at first, they can have a tendency to linger because that muscle is used in so many different baseball movements. It can sometimes just linger there. And if 1 week becomes 2 and then maybe he's pushed into week 3, well, we're running low on weeks at that point before opening day. And it could potentially lead to a season opening IL stint for Wyatt Langford if he's not ready to go. Getting ahead of myself by saying that, but for the people who are drafting now, we had been seeing Langford's ADP creep up. I'd seen him go as early as round 3 sometimes. And this might be reason to back down a little. No reason to get ahead of ourselves with him. He hasn't quite earned a third-round price tag in my mind anyway. I'm not saying you'll avoid him if he's there in, round 6 or anything, but let's if you are drafting now, maybe play it a little more cautiously with Wyatt Langford.
We had some fun team debuts this weekend. I mean, 2 that absolutely crushed me. Juan Soto homered in his first Mets at bat. So as a Yankee fan, of course, it crushed my heart. Clay Holmes, 3 perfect innings with 3 strikeouts. He debuted a new cutter and a new changeup. He got 1 whiff on each of those. Alex Bregman, 3 for 3 with a home run in his Red Sox debut on Sunday, playing third base, I might add. Garrett Crochet recorded 5 outs in his debut, 4 via the strikeout. Jeffrey Springs, 2 shutout innings with 2 strikeouts for the A's on Sunday. And Danny Jansen, who is now at the Tampa Bay Rays, homered in his debut. Could be a name you look at in 2-catcher leagues. Scott, I think the most applicable here is Clay Holmes. Nice to see this changeup and cutter early on.
Yeah, we'd heard he was working on a changeup, but for him to throw it 21% of the time in his spring debut, that a lot of times when we hear a pitcher's working on a pitch in spring training, it's like they'll throw it 1 or 2 times, and it's hard to take it seriously if they're not going to take it that seriously. But Clay Holmes really worked on that changeup. And it might be important to him as he moves to a starting role, going to face left-handers more consistently. Left-handers hit him pretty hard last year. Changeup can help to neutralize them. And if it works for Holmes, I have a lot of hope for him in the rotation. 65% ground ball rate last year and consistently that high. Not a lot of damage gets done against pitchers with 65% ground ball rates. He was always good at keeping his ERA low in the Yankees bullpen. The changeup can only help. Also, Bregman, you mentioned he was starting at third base for the Red Sox. Supposedly, he's moving to second base to accommodate Rafael Devers. That's the official line, but the Red Sox are not very firm with it. And so to see Bregman start out at third base, not get some early exposure to his new position, I don't know. There's something's. I feel like there's another shoe to drop here. Maybe it's just that Devers' shoulders are not going to allow him to play the field early in the season, and so despite his objections, he's going to have to move to DH, at least to start out. I don't know. Maybe trade's in the works. Who knows? Not involving Devers, involving somebody else, but who knows? It's just interesting and probably revealing that Bregman was playing third base.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
One of golf's elite courses, Quail Hollow, hosts the game's top players at the PGA Championship this May on CBS.
Welcome back in FBT Express. We did have a lot of StatCast data this weekend, so seeing more velocity for pitchers is interesting this time of year. I will highlight some of those now. Corbin Burns' cutter, sinker, and changeup were all down over 2 miles per hour compared to last year. He still struck out the side in his only inning of work. Sandy Alcantara made his return from Tommy John on Sunday. He averaged nearly 99 miles per hour on his fastball, but only through 1 inning. Kenta Maeda's fastball, sweeper, sinker, and splitter were all up between 1.6 and 2 miles per hour. Zebby Matthews' fastball, slider, and cutter were all up between 1.7 and 2.1 miles per hour compared to last season. Tristan McKenzie averaged 94.2 miles per hour on his fastball. That is up 3 miles per hour compared to last season. Jack Leiter threw 2 scoreless innings of relief. His velocity was up over 2 miles per hour on the fastball, slider, and changeup. He also debuted a new sinker. David Festa, also a Minnesota Twin. Fastball was up 1 mile per hour, slider up 1.6, changeup up 2.1. Casey Mize, fastball was up 1.4 miles per hour. His splitter was up 4 miles per hour. And Matt Waldron, knuckleballer, the knuckleball was up 3.7 miles per hour. So lots of names, lots of pitches here, Scott, but maybe some in deeper leagues that could have some value. What do you think?
You'd expect this early in spring training, first start for each of these guys, velocity to be down, if anything. That's why I'm not really worried about Corbin Burns, particularly for the cutter Burns. We would rather it be down. He was overthrowing it last year, started throwing it softer in September, and it led to much better numbers. So no reason to worry there. But all these pitchers, their velocity being up, pitchers with upside and reason for us to be interested in them. The 2 Twins, David Festa and Zebby Matthews. I think there's only 1 opening in their rotation. It's unlikely they'll both have a chance to make it, but they have legitimate upside. Tristan McKenzie is only a few years removed from being a must-start fantasy pitcher, and so to see him regain so much velocity. Jack Leiter's interesting. Kenta Maeda is even interesting in a way if he can find his way into the Tigers rotation. He's pretty old now, but of course we've known him to be a very useful fantasy pitcher in the past. So it's something we'll keep monitoring. Obviously, some of these guys actually have to win the job to matter. Tristan McKenzie, I think, is one you can say definitely has it. The job, I mean. But the other thing is, what do you do about it? Given how deep the pitching pool is in fantasy this year, can I find room on my roster for a Tristan McKenzie? It's too early to say now, but if he ends up having a really buzzy spring where he just keeps throwing his fastball 3 miles per hour harder, we're going to have to find a way to shoehorn him into that very deep starting pitcher crop.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.